Yeah, thank you. Good morning, friends. And I am very happy to see that about 600 members on Sunday morning, 5th June 2022, have logged in to see what are the professional opportunities in the environment and environment sector, which is totally connected with business, and what role we as a chartered accountant can play in the climate change mitigation, what role we can request our clients to play in the environment, and what role we can request government to play in the reduction of global warming. Now,
મારું chat મોકલ ને I am not able
નહીં
to
ચંદ્રશેખર સાહેબ પહેલું તમારું છે. We have Dr. Chandrasekhar Upasni from Ankleshwar, who is a master on the environment law. So at his place there is some connectivity issue. So till that time, I'll be taking the session on environment, and Dr. Upasni ji, as soon as you are okay with the connectivity, do let me know. So we will be jointly covering this subject of environment sector, global warming reduction, and the related aspects, and how we can earn money. See, earning money is also equally important. So what are the areas? The environment impact assessment, EIA. Those businesses who want to go in green businesses. So I'll be sharing my
subject of environment sector, global warming reduction, and
Ramkaran, why there is a echo?
how we can earn money. See, earning money is also equally important.
Ramkaran ji,
So what are the areas?
Ramkaran ji, the echo should not happen. We will not pay. Okay. Oh. So this global professional opportunities under environment and so what is environment? See, the environment comes from a French word which means
The equal should not happen. We will not pay.
So the surroundings of the us around us. So surrounding to every living person, animal, plant. Now, what are the various areas where one can do a professional work? And see, my philosophy of professional work and life is that everything happens twice. First in the mind, and second time in the reality. If I feel, I'm a chartered accountant, I'm a finance person, the environment is a science subject, I do not consider that. We can learn everything related to a subject if we are passionate about it and if we like it. And now under the multidisciplinary partnership arrangement, we can also have the engineer as our partner. So one is the energy audit is one area. So another is filing a complaint under air pollution, water pollution. There is a small, this book, the small book, it may be 1/4 of the Income Tax Act and maybe 1/8 or 1/10 of Income Tax Act rules, everything together. So there is a Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1981 and Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1974. The energy assortment, the environment consultant, the environment auditor, environment engineer, the compliances under the Environment Protection Act 1986. I would request that you post your queries because we want to make, myself and Dr. Upasni, we want to make the session very interactive. Environment impact assessment, environment reporting, sustainability reporting, the checklist for environment enhancement, pollution control check, air quality, water quality, waste, soil contamination, noise and vibration, subsidence, and for various industries, the environmental compliance checklist like mining industry, thermal power, hydropower, dams, reservoirs, electricity generation, roads, railways, airports, ports, harbors, river, sand erosion control. Then environmental permits. There is a Central Pollution Control Board and there is a State Pollution Control Board. And we have a Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. And each state has a department pertaining to this. The application for environment clearance. Then what is environmental ecosystems? The environmental ecosystem is that we have forest, we have grasslands, we have deserts, we have tundra, we have a fresh water, we have a marine water. Now, what is environment management? Now, environment management is a system that incorporates processes for summarizing, monitoring, reporting, developing, and executing the environmental policies. So, this environment management start with planning for the environment management, then implementations, checking and correction, management review, environment policy. Now, today why we are, again getting awakened with the environment subject because it is 5th June 1972 where United Nations did a conference at Stockholm and they took the initiatives and since World and United Nations Environment Program UNEP was founded on 5th June 1972. We started celebrating Environment Day since then. And what is, I look at day after tomorrow, we are celebrating International World Food Safety Day. And we have designed a program 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. And we are so lucky that we have a very, very, very dedicated officers. CA Hina Gupta, who is there with us, and she is the Secretary of Economic and Commercial Law and Economic Advisory Committee of the Institute. And in that committee, all business laws, there are about 500 laws, and total 1300 laws are there, but 500 laws, if we can interpret comma, full stop, inclusive definition, exclusive definition, in income tax and GST, then business laws are much, much simpler. Normally, there are no amendments or very rare amendments once the law is made. In environment also, there is a National Green Tribunal. There is a separate act called National Green Tribunal Act 2010. And if time permit, I will show these websites of the National Green Tribunal, Ministry of Environment and Forest. So this year, today, there is a conference in Sweden where World Environment Day 2022. Today, our respected Vice President CA Aniket Talati and many Central Council members, Regional Council members, they have celebrated Environment Day by planting the trees at various places. The theme is only one earth. See, I would request each viewer, we should read general knowledge, we should read non-technical knowledge. So this powerful universe, there's a book by Madam Rhonda Byrne, Secret. If you, whatever you ask from the universe will give you. So in universe, there are many galaxies. So galaxies are, there are billions of galaxies, 200 billions. And galaxies have billions of planets. So like we have a solar planetary system, but there is only one Earth, where 70% of Earth is surrounded with water. So we, as a chartered accountant, as a citizen, what we can do? So this we saw that World Environment Day, 5th June, why it is relevance and why this Committee on Economic and Commercial Law, we are looking at the environment laws, environment, climate change mitigation. So various ministries which, so Ministry of Environment, there are about 53 ministries. So we can also be a consultant with the ministry. We can do a course on environment. We can do a PhD on environment. I'm just taking few queries. Rohit Suneja, should we read the book Act on Air and Water to learn more? 100%, 100%. So these are bare acts, including bare rules. And then the website Google Baba is a biggest Baba. So Rohit Suneja, you must, he's from Bhopal. Bhopal gas tragedy. Look at the environment importance. So, or various projects which are put, in Maharashtra, because I live in Mumbai, there was an Enron electricity plant was to be put. And the villagers, woke up and they represented to the government. Similarly, Narmada Bachao Andolan we have seen. So we must look at these laws. Then Naveen Goyal from Gurgaon, he is asking what is the role of CA? CA has unlimited. See, there is one called Environment Impact Assessment. So how any industry, how any infra project. So we will take up that. Then there is something called, we have a 7th schedule in Companies Act 2013, which is pertaining to Section 135 Corporate Social Responsibility, where 2% of the profit is to be spent by certain companies who are covered by that CSR compulsory compliance. Then the carbon credit, we call CER, certified emission rights. So Naveen ji, we come to know a role when we study a subject, and my understanding is 30 hours, maybe 1 hour every day in a month will make us a reasonable knowledge on the subject. And then we are called practicing. Till our death, we keep on learning the subject depending on your passion, our interest. So there is a lot of work for chartered accountant in this area. Then there is a Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. Once we become expert in this, perhaps we will become expert of green project consultant, how to set up green projects, green buildings. Dr. Upasni will enlighten us more on these areas. Then there is a Ministry of Jal Shakti, Department of Water Resources. Then there is a National Biodiversity Authority. Then there are various portals which will give us more information. There is a Chemical Accident Information and Reporting System. So cairs.nic.in, Climate Change Knowledge Portal, E-Green Watch, National Authority Division, Environment Information System, Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee Approvals, Green Skill Development Program, Indian Forest Service Cadre Management, Indian State Level Basic Environment Information Database, National CDM Authority. So CDM is a climate change division. National Hazardous Waste Information System. So you can see, Naveen, how much is there is a website called Parivesh Impact Assessment Division, Wetlands of India portal, ozone depleting substances clearances, National Transit Pass System. See, every expert was beginner on day one. We do not take birth as an expert, but we can learn any subject by knowing more. Like I had an interest, but last 1 week when we decided to do a program on Environment Day, every day I spent 3 to 4 hours to know more. And then like Bluetooth technology, we have Facebook groups, we have LinkedIn groups. We will find out who are the environment experts. Like Dr. Upasni, we will develop a friendship with them. We'll become partner with them. And we will keep on learning the subject. Then there is various international conventions are there for environment protection. And India is a signatory to that. So we have a Montreal Protocol of 1987. We have a Basel Convention of 1989. We have a Rotterdam Convention, the Stockholm Convention, UN Framework, this is 92. This is very important. Conventions on biological diversity. The United Nations Convention to combat desertification. Then under our fundamental duties, see, we have fundamental rights in the Constitution of India. But there are fundamental duties. Sometimes we know more of our rights than our duties. So under Article 51A of the Constitution of India, there is clause G. Every citizen of India to protect and improve the natural environment, including forest, lakes, rivers, wildlife, and to have a compassion for living creatures. there is a query from Vinod Gupta from Kanpur. Thank you, Vinodji, for raising this query from Kanpur. How finance and audit can be linked with environment laws so that a member of our profession can contribute? See, Vinodji, there is a finance available for green businesses. Yesterday I was in the Western Region conference at Pune, and I met few professionals. So there are international equity funds. There are schemes of the government of India which finances only the businesses which are in the economic sector. Like even so, and then there is a audit of these businesses. So our knowledge, and we have to remove the cap of a CA. See, our biggest asset is what I call professional skepticism, the inquiring attitude. When I put a lot of questions to my wife, she said, you are asking too many questions. My response to her is, the inquiring attitude is in my blood. When I request, the secretary of this committee where I am the chairman, CA Hina Gupta, I keep on asking her, like if the participants are less than 1,000, let us do interactive meeting, Zoom, so we can see the faces of each other. So the inquiring attitude which we have acquired in our audit profession, which call professional skepticism, we can do the wonder in the whole planet, whole universe. Pawan Sharma is asking from Hyderabad. Pawan Sharma ji, thank you. Is there any particular certificate course? No, we will develop a course. This Committee on Economic and Commercial Law, we have designed a course. It's pending before Management Committee and Council. Hopefully, in June Council meeting, we will clear it. But we will do the program. I request CA Hina, we will do a 4 days training program. Then Harpreet Singh Puri from China. It's good, we have a international participant. For control on any parameter, first we need the accurate measurement. In India, there are very few places where air quality index is measured and reported regularly. Now, what I would request, Harpreet ji, let you write to me, and I request CA Hina to make a note of it. But India is becoming a number one country in the world. They are progressing, and if we see all measures taken by our Honorable Prime Minister and the current government in last 8 years success, we are trying to do everything world class in business, in universities. Now, Sanjay Divakar from Kolkata, he is saying that throw some light on BRSR. Now, BRSR is the 4 alphabet on business reporting and business responsibility and sustainability reporting. See, what is BRSR? We earlier used to, now also, triple P. People, planet, and profit. So the CSR reporting, the corporate social responsibility, or we have now another term called ESG, environment, sustainability, and governance. So all these are related with environment. What we will do, we will make a WhatsApp group or a Telegram group, and I want 2 of you or 3 of you to take the lead and do the regular webinar. We should join Facebook groups and LinkedIn groups where we have environment experts. we have BRSR experts, we have a climate change mitigation experts, and we ourselves also should read on the subject, the compliances, certificates. And I'm happy to see that there are many queries coming. Ram Karanji, you are helping us with various queries. So Atul Nima from Ujjain, the query is, a CA can alone handle environmental assignment or an engineer partner is necessary. What I would request Atul, that always, there is a Napoleon Hill has written a book, Think and Grow Rich. He has given 13 principles of success: burning desire, 100% faith, auto-suggestion, specialized knowledge, imagination, organized planning. Ninth principle is mastermind. So always an expert will help us to give a service. There is a book called Science of Getting Rich. And there is a principle called impression of increase. If the client gives us 10,000, perhaps the value given to the client should be 1 lakh or more. So, Atulji, I would request that we take an engineer as a partner or colleague. Then Manoj Sharma from Pune is asking about carry forward of the CSR unspent amount to next year, even though no work of CSR. So, Manoj, this can be answered offline because I have not read, in section 135 and the CSR rules under section 135, there are few amendments which have taken place. That unspent amount has to be kept in a separate account. And after a specified years, that unspent amount is to be deposited with a designated account of the government, like how we have for unpaid dividend, unpaid mature deposit. But good query, Manoj, and that can be. Then Akil Sabir from Meerut is asking, under the existing laws in India, whether environment audit is required. There is a energy audit required for certain businesses, and there is a social audit required. Social audit is also voluntary audit. It's like a management audit to find out the impact on the expenditure made. Yeah, Giri Nair, we will give you the soft copy, and CA Hina, I would request that we will plan in advance and we will put our PPT on website, and we will also email in the Telegram group. Then from Delhi, Anuj Arya, he is asking, can we are heading towards ESG? 100% we are heading towards ESG. Under Companies Act, certain listed companies under LODR, they have to do mandatorily ESG reporting. Now, Dr. Upasni sir.
Yeah, please tell me.
Now your network is okay. I think it is. We are able to hear you.
Oh, fine. I am able to hear you. Are you listening me?
Yes. So
Okay.
what I will do, I'll take another 5 minutes.
Okay.
And then you start your presentation.
Fine.
And then again, we will take up the query.
Oh, sure. Whether Ramkaran will make the presentation, share, or should I share my presentation?
No, you see, like how I am doing myself, Chandrasekhar સાહેબ, તમે પોતે
Okay,
કરશો
I
તો
will do
વધારે
myself. No issue.
કન્વીનિયન્ટ પડશે તમને.
Okay, I will share my screen.
Because Ramkaran may not be having, he is an outsourced agency.
Okay, fine.
Huh. So the environment laws in India are the Environment Protection Act. ઓકે, ઠીક છે ઉપાસની સાહેબ, તમે ચાલુ કરો.
Okay. Can you see my presentation?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is 100% beautiful, excellent presentation. Only one earth.
Oh, and you have already covered the background
But
of
you
only
go
one
ahead.
earth.
Members would like to listen to that.
Yeah. After 50 years, again, we are on the one earth. 50 years back, it was the same slogan. In 1972, it was only one earth. And today, practically, we are feeling that, yes, that one earth coined in the 72 is correct moment now to act it. We are late. Now, before I start anything more, let me thank you, Dr. Rajkumar, for inviting me to deliver my short note on environmental issues. And I feel honored. I feel honored means exactly 16 years back, I received Gujarat Cleaner Production Award at the end of then Chief Minister Gujarat, Mr. Narendra Bhai Modi. Today, I am feeling the same honor delivering this gathering. Not only I am feeling honored, my family, my staff members, everybody is happy that we have received this invitation. So thank you, Dr. Rajkumar. Now,
My pleasure, sir. My pleasure.
yeah. Now, this already you have covered that time is running out and only there is a one earth and we have to be in emergency mode. And you have addressed several queries for various questions. So I think it is going to be interesting. I will just keep this some slides theoretical. Environment related provisions you have covered, that directive principles of state policy, Article 48A, which says that protection and improvement of environment and safeguarding of forest and wildlife, the state shall endeavor to protect and improve the environment and to safeguard the forest and wildlife of the country. Also, the fundamental duties, Part 4A, Article 51A says to protect and improve the natural environment, including forests, lakes, rivers, wildlife, and to have a compassion for living creatures. So here it is not necessary that it's a chartered accountant or environmental auditors or any individuals, civil engineers. It's everybody's duty is included. Now I'll bring to you the real guidelines to protect the environment which Government of India is created. One is a Water Act, rightly displayed the Air Act also, that booklet of 1972, the Hazardous Waste Rules 2016, Forest Conservation Act, Environment Protection Act, Public Liability. There are, I think, more than 50 acts. I have mentioned very few. Recently, that Plastic Management Act has come, Electronic Waste Disposal Act, Construction Debris Disposal Act. Several new rules have come into existence. The environmental impact assessment is one of the tools that helps in identifying the environmental, economic, and social impacts of the project before decision making. Now, since you all are chartered accountants, you must know that when the project comes to you, first find out the applicability of environment clearance to that project. If there is applicability of environment clearance to that project, that you should advise the client they should not start any physical activity on the site. You can only do compound wall and security cabin on your land. You cannot start any construction or physical activity. Remember it. This is very, very important in the Environment Clearance Act 2006. The first environment impact assessment was regulated Act was created in 1986, which entails numerous provisions on the EIA process and methodology. In 82, Government of India introduced the need of environment impact assessment, environment management plan for public sector projects alone. But in 1994, EIA notification was introduced and environment clearance from Ministry of Environment and Forest was made mandatory for certain size of the project. Here, the provision of capital investment was made. Like if there is project cost, capital cost is more than 50 crore, then they required environment clearance from Ministry of Environment and Forest. Even the state pollution control boards and other were not aware at that time the seriousness of that act. And several industries came up in after 1994 and they did not have the environment clearance. I'm just citing the example so that you can see, get the seriousness of this Environment Clearance Act. In some of the NGOs in Gujarat, approached the Gujarat High Court and told that these are the industries who are operating without getting the environment clearance under the 1994 EIA notification. These industries included Alembic Pharmaceuticals, UPL Limited, JB Pharmaceuticals, and 2-3 more. They all had taken NOC from the state authority. They had the compliance level of all the environment rules, regulations. Their only fault was they had not taken the environment clearance under this provision of 1904. In the High Court, the case lasted for more than 10 years. Afterwards, they went for expansion, they conducted the public hearing, they took the environment clearance, and High Court disposed of the petition. Meantime, the NGT Act came into the existence. The same NGO approached to the NGT and appealed to the NGT that these industries should be closed down because they have violation of this EIA notification. NGT listened those NGO and ruled that these industries should be closed down permanently. The industries approached to the Supreme Court. In the first instance, Supreme Court declined and they said again you approach to the NGT and put your case. On behalf of central government, Tushar Mehta appeared before NGT, pleaded that if you do this thing, then more than 300 industries of India will close down. It is not a question of only 5 industries. NGT remained firm. They did not change the order. Again, these industries went to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court levied heavy penalty, 5 crore to 50 crore rupees up to, and allowed the industries to operate. So this is the seriousness of the issue for the environment clearance. Now in 2006, EIA notification, which replaced the 1994 notification. Now in 2006 notification, they have removed the investment clause. All industries sector-wise are covered under the Environment Clearance Act. In 2006, this is a big change. Now everybody is included, all the project activities. They have given the list of the project activities that they are covered under the EIA notification 2006. Who can issue the environment clearance? It's a Ministry of Environment, Forest, Climate Change for certain type of projects. That is nomenclatured as Category A projects. And State Environment Impact Assessment Authority, that is Category B projects. So projects are divided into categories, Category A and Category B. And this categorization depends on the size of the project and degree of potential impact on human health, natural, man-made resources. Now project, I have given the list of which are the projects included in this schedule. Mainly all new projects or activities, even existing projects, expansion projects, product mix projects, everybody is included in this 2006 notification. In the central government, authority lies with the environment minister. Final signature of EC clearance is getting from the Minister of Environment and Forest. While in the state government, State Impact Environment Authority is final authority. Their state minister has got no role in the grant of environment clearance. That is an issue going on between state and center. There are various processes in the environment clearance: screening, scoping, public consultation, appraisal. I will not go in the detail of these things, but as somebody mentioned that what is the role of CAs, then CA must see that these are the list of the project type which are mentioned in the EIA notification. It includes mining of minerals to offshore and onshore oil gas exploration, river valley projects, thermal power plants, nuclear power projects, coal washeries. You can think of all the projects: chlor-alkali industries, soda ash industries, chemical fertilizers, pesticides, man-made fibers, petrochemicals, synthetic organic chemicals, distilleries. It's irrespective of size, irrespective of capital investment. They all require environment clearance. Those projects which are not listed can get consent to establish from the State Pollution Control Board. They are the projects like inorganic chemical manufacturing or pharma formulation or agrochemical formulation. Such projects are exempted from environment clearances. Otherwise, most of the projects are covered under this regulation, including common infrastructure projects, common effluent treatment plants, common municipal solid waste management facilities, building and construction projects. Here there is some limit of 20,000 square meter built up area or something like that. So while granting the environment clearance, one requires to carry out environment impact assessment. This is a process of evaluating the likely environmental impacts of the proposed project or development, taking into account interrelated socio-economic, cultural, and human health impacts, both beneficial and adverse. We have to mention in the environment impact what are the beneficial, like employment generation is there is some infrastructure improvement is there. So we have to mention in that environment impact assessment report that we required in this area such projects, so that there are some benefits. But there will be some adverse impact also, because any activity will create something. So it's a tool used to assess the positive and negative environmental, including economic. Mind well. Please see that economic and social impacts of the project. Sorry. This is used to credit environmental impacts of the project. In the pre-planning stage itself, so that decision can be taken to reduce the environmental impact. Let me tell you that after 2006, this notification, there is now new draft notification has been published by Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change in 2020, where again they have brought the investment criteria in. They have suggested to exempt the small and medium scale industries from getting the environment clearance processes, because this process delays entire implementation of the project. I would also like to mention you that during COVID time, we required a lot of pharma products. So Government of India, with the extraordinary notification, brought out one B2 category projects that anybody requires to put up the project of the pharma drug manufacturing or drug intermediate manufacturing, they will not require to carry out environment impact assessment report, and they were given the environment clearance on most priority basis. And many industries took the benefit of that, and fortunately, a lot of pharma industries came up during that time. Still, they are coming up, and they took the advantage of these provisions. Now, one of the CA asked that whether he can have one environment engineer and he can prepare the EIA report. So there is again notification that who can prepare the EIA report. It's only NABET accredited consultant can prepare the EIA report for environment clearance purposes. Let me explain you what is NABET. It's a National Accreditation Board of Education and Training working under the Quality Council of India. They have devised a scheme that who could be the people who can prepare, or who are the organizations who can prepare this EIA report. The sector specific experts are required in that organization. That is a water area expert, air area expert, socio-economic area expert. They should have some primary facilities of laboratories to check the pollution level, and they have to apply to this board, and then they can get the certificate of NABET accredited consultant. So there is an entire scheme is done on QCI website, Quality Council of India website. What the EIA report should contain? These are the general, that is also very well defined. All this came after 2016. Slowly it became they realized that there has to be some uniformity in the system. And 2016 afterwards, they modified it, then system became a lot of transparent. Everything is now online. Even your project you have to upload online. And earlier there were some many irregularities where it was just like that license Raj. It had taken us back to the license Raj. Now, and the people had to approach to the environment minister for getting the clearance. Now there is no out of turn clearances. Everything has become online. You can see when your agenda is put online, minutes of meeting are put online, and all these EIA reports are also put on online for comments of the public, for comments of the NGOs. So this is a good mechanism devised by them. Normally, environment impact assessment reports contains 12 chapters, and chapter 1 is the things required is given here. Chapter 2 is a project description. What they are going to do is. Chapter 3 is a description of the environment in the study area. What type of air is there? What type of water quality is there? What type of soil conditions are there? What is the noise level in this area? That is known as the baseline study area. And due to the project, what will be the anticipated environmental impacts are covered in the chapter 4. Then its mitigation measures has to be covered in the next chapter. Alternative technologies, whether we have explored it or not. Then post-project, what should be the environmental monitoring plan? Also included is the safety and risk assessment, then project benefits, socio-economic benefits, and other tangible benefits due to the project. Environmental cost benefit analysis. This is very important point, and this is specific for certain type of projects where even we environment consultants require the help of chartered accountants. That took environmental economics is a new subject coming up. And it is very much necessary that we become a partner, chartered accountants and environment consultants, to carry out environmental cost benefit. Also, Miss, I will touch upon the subject of environment damage compensation, EDC, with the terminology has been coined by the NGT, and many places he is putting the penalty, saying that you have damaged the environment, and how to calculate that damage. Those formulas are also evolved by them. In the EIA Environment Impact Assessment reports, the next chapter is the Environment Management Plan, then summary and conclusion, and we have to disclose everything regarding EIA consultant who has prepared this report. That complete responsibility of the EIA report has to be owned by EIA consultant, because they are NABIT accredited, and whatever they have suggested, that government is believes that yes, it has to be true. That baseline will be really true. But this baseline is, once you are, before establishing what is the total climate in particular area, what is the, how many air bodies are there, groundwater is what quality, surface water is of what quality, air is what quality, PM level, PM10, SOx, NOx, carbon monoxide, volatile organic compound, ecology, biodiversity of that area is to be studied, socio-economy, what is the population of that area, particularly 10-kilometer radius area, how many people are employed, how many unemployment is there, what is their income source. Those things are basic requirement of an environment impact assessment report, because they are the people going to be affected due to some project coming up in that area. So this baseline environmental study is required to carry out. It depends on the size of the project. They allot sometimes 3 months baseline data collection, sometimes 1 year baseline data collection for a big project is required. Once the baseline data is there, then you have to do the computer modeling. In the baseline data, suppose PM 2.5 and 2.10 level is within the limit of national ambient air quality. Now we are going to put up some capacity of boilers, and some PM will come out even after taking some measures of controlling it. Then we have to carry out some computer modeling and check it that particulate matter level, how will be increased in the there. That increase should not affect or cross the national ambient air quality program standards. If it crosses that standard, it means there is going to be adverse impact on that region. Similarly, safety aspects, you are going to use certain chemicals, hazardous chemicals that can catch the fire. In case of fire, how many people will be getting affected? So you have to prepare on-site plan, off-site plan. Then everything is required to be reported in the EIA report. And ultimate responsibility comes to the consultant that suggests the measures for further lowering the probability of risk and other measures. Main important thing is the last paragraph that sustainability can provide EIA with crystal clear direction and ethical foundation, a framework for setting up priorities and method of linking EIA to environmental management instruments. Theoretically, EIA and sustainability can be linked with minimal efforts if the framework refined, adaptive in nature, and connected to related initiatives. Sustainability must find its way into EIA legislation, guidelines, and institutional arrangements. This is the graphical presentation we have given for the EIA report. Now somebody asked for CSR activity, and Dr. Rajkumar also replied, what is that CSR activity? But in the EIA report, a new terminology has come, corporate environment responsibility. This is a concept that suggests that it is the responsibility of corporation, companies, departments operating within society to contribute towards economic, social, and environmental development that creates positive impact on society at large. This CR activity is a different entirely than CSR activity. The CR activity's budgetary provision requires in the project report. As per MOF guideline, corporate environmental responsibility has made it mandatory for project proponents seeking environment clearance to set out the cost of CR in addition to the basic cost of EIA and EMP. As Dr. Rajkumar said, the concept of CER is provided in the Companies Act 2013 and covered under the Corporate Social Responsibility Policy Rule 2014. This is in case of having company operating projects and making net profit, as also subject to other stipulations contained in the aforesaid Act and rules. Here it's a profit is important. The environment clearance is given to project may involve a situation where concerned company yet to make any net profit and or is not covered under the purview of aforesaid Act and rules. They have to anyway spend for CR activity. In short, CR is applicable to all projects seeking environment clearance, irrespective of size of the project, turnover project, or profit of the project. It is also mandatory that narration of CR activity proposed to be carried out, that is also part of environment impact report. And please note that CR activity is to be carried out within 10-kilometer radius of the project in a lifespan of first 5 years of project commencement. See, CR activity you can carry out any place. CSR activity, sorry. But for CR activity, it is very specific. Because you are something damaging environment, you have to do some environment related activities in that project. As I mentioned earlier, like PM level is going to increase due to the installation of boiler. Particulate matter is going to increase. So in the CR activity, you take them some steps that in that villages or surrounding area, how you can adopt the reduce that particulate matter effect. Like the roads are there, they are not concrete roads, or paver blocks are there. There are no paver blocks on the side of the roads. CR activity you can carry out putting the paver blocks. So some particulate matter will decrease due to transportation effect. So CR activity is in relation with the baseline data, is relation to the mitigation measures. Like you are withdrawing the groundwater. So rainwater harvesting you can do, rainwater recharging, you can strengthen the ponds in the villages. Those are the areas covered under the CR activities. What is the fund allocation mandatory for CR? If the project cost is less than 100 crores, and if it is a greenfield project, it's a 2% of the capital investment. They have to keep it separately for the CER activity. It means if the project cost is 100 crore rupees, 2 crore rupees they have to spend extra within the commencement of the production in the 5 years of that activity. So sometimes in the project report or bank reports, you should not miss this thing, that this is the cost going to be incurred for that project. If it is expansion project, then it is a 1%. So this is the mandatory guideline based on the investment. Chartered accountants has to verify this data with actual CR cost allocation by industry. When the compliance of the environment clearance report comes, this is always asked by the government that what is you are spending for CER activity. Now again, reporting of compliance of environment clearance has been made mandatory. Each half-yearly compliance report is submitted to the central government, state government. Not only that, now with the recent provision, they have said that all the companies will put on their website that environment clearance compliance reports. Also, the companies are required to put on their website if any violation has taken place and what is the board has taken the steps for that violation cases. Earlier, the self-certified compliance report was acceptable. Now with new provision, third-party certified compliance report is made mandatory. Now we do not have the sufficient manpower who can do this certification, visit the industry and do some certified compliance report. So Government of India is proposing to bring a scheme of environment auditors to certify such reports. And National Productivity Council, New Delhi, is assigned this task of preparing the scheme. Now here it comes that scheme will be in the line with the prevailing scheme implemented by Gujarat Pollution Control Board on the directive of Honorable Gujarat High Court. See, environment auditor are considered as extended arm of the Pollution Control Board. There were serious environmental issues in Gujarat during 90s period. And the argument by the government of Gujarat and Gujarat Pollution Control Board that they do not have sufficient manpower to monitor all the industries. So the way out solution suggested by the Gujarat High Court was to introduce the scheme of environment audit. And since then that environment audit scheme is in place in Gujarat. It states that industries manufacturing specified products where qualified technical professional would become a link between individual industries on one hand and the GPCB and other public authorities as well as the association of the industries on the other hand, with the added vital elements of accountability and transparency. Afterwards, 2 more orders were passed by Honorable High Court and audit scheme was implemented. Environment audit represent independent, transparent and systematic scrutiny to use of raw materials, products, utilities, as well as adequacy of environment management system, its efficiencies in operation towards implementation of environment rules. It's a good, successful model. There were some salient features. Here again, teamwork is required. And the team should consist of environment engineer, chemical engineer, chemist, and environmental scientist. Their environment audit organization requires certain laboratory facilities. When the scheme was implemented, the industries were authorized to appoint the environment auditor and put the financial conditions or all these things. So what was happening that there was no clear picture was coming up. because environment audit fee was to be paid by the industries. And on environment auditor had no liberty, means limited liberty or limited courage to report the non-compliances. So at that time, there was an intervention of Mrs. Esther Duflo of MIT, USA, along with the Harvard University people, and they intervened in this scheme. Of course, afterwards, Mrs. Esther Duflo got the Nobel Prize along with Abhishek Chatterjee, and the scheme was modified due to their suggestions. Now, auditors are appointed by Gujarat Pollution Control Board by the computer draw. Fees are fixed by the board, but those fees are supposed to be paid by the industries. And there is a cross check on the environment auditor. There are two types of environment auditor, Schedule 1 and Schedule 2. Schedule 2 environment auditors audit the industries, and Schedule 1 auditor do the back checking of Schedule 2 auditors. We were lucky that we worked with Mrs. Esther Duflo. She was at my office and repeatedly we were discussing what type of scheme should be there. And when she got the Nobel Prize, I just wrote her the congratulation mail and I received her reply immediately. That's thank you, Dr. Upasni. We remember working with you as a good auditor and how all your insights help us shape the project. We help them make Gujarat cleaner. This is thanks to you. We consider it's a good compliment from Mrs. Duflo. Now there is a grievances address mechanism for environmental issues. Once it is a transfer process now, environment clearances are on the website of the Ministry of Environment, Forest and the State Government Environment Department's website. So any complaints, non-compliance or violation could be addressed to the National Green Tribunal. It is in the conference of 1992 Rio Conference of United Nations, India pledged to provide administrative and judicial remedies to the victim of the pollutants. This gave rise to the establishment of this special branch of National Green Tribunal, and now the environmental issues are addressed by this NGT. Its status is equivalent to the High Courts, and anything against the NGT could be challenged in the Supreme Court only. There are three important objectives of the National Green Tribunal. They are the speedy and effective disposal of all the cases. Yeah, here in the bench of the NGT, there is always one fellow from the judiciary, law department, and one technical fellow is there. So that technical, they both are equal. NGT is always with the 2% technical fellow and one from the judiciary department. And its main aim is to legally enforce all the rights relating to the environment. It accounts for providing compensation. There is very important word, compensation is decided by NGT and justice to all the affected people in case of any damage. Now, how to calculate the environmental compensation? Many times industries are also not aware that how this environmental compensation is calculated, or they have to keep this in the mind while framing their environment management system, that if any violation takes place, they are liable to pay environmental compensation. And there is very heavy penalty, heavy charges for the environmental compensation. There are some disputes in the calculation methods. We are also, sometimes we do not agree with this method also. But just now we have to follow whatever is there in their rules and regulations. So So this is the environmental compensation formula. I will not go into the details that what is environmental compensation is the pollution index is taken in the number of days of violation took place. Now here means suppose today you are caught that you have violated Water Act. You have discharged the effluent beyond the permissible limit. Now, how they will calculate number of days? Since you got the permission, till today, they will consider as number of days you have violated it. Now, this violation may be temporary or failure of some machinery. It is non-intentional. But if 4 years back you are given the permission and today you have violated in your court, they will consider all these 4 years you have done the same thing. So this is very, very controversial provision, that number of days calculation. This results in a very high amount of the penalty. Another very, very harmful act or say dangerous act is the Hazardous Waste Rules 2016. When I said I received the Cleaner Production Award in 2006, people were implementing cleaner production. We were made the nodal agency by the government of Gujarat to implement the cleaner production in various industries. And cleaner production was nothing but to recycle, reuse, recover, or reduce the resources. If something is going in the effluent and if you can recover it back, it was welcome step. It was considered as a cleaner production. Now in 2016 hazardous waste rules, everything is made hazardous. Other than your main product, whatever is generated, be it a gaseous emission or solid waste or something going into the effluent, it is considered as hazardous waste. And there is a controversial provision whether it is a hazardous waste or byproduct. And due to this misinterpretation, in the recent past, would have seen that several directors of the companies are put behind the bars. I think from Heikel is one of the recent case, Heikel industry. And here also there is no uniformity across the India. There is a difference in the state-wise interpretation. One state will consider it as a hazardous waste, other state will consider it as a byproduct. It's a really big confusion going on in the industry. And now I think Central Pollution Control Board has noticed this thing and they are taking some remedial measures. Now it comes to the role of chartered accountants. I think after delivering so much thing, you would have realized that I have covered, each time I have drawn your attention that where you can play the major role and what are the issues which you must understand it. There is a Paris Agreement, and before the Paris Agreement, there was a Kyoto Protocol. I think somebody asked that what is CDM, Clean Development Mechanism. Under the Kyoto Protocol, there was a carbon trading. That carbon has got no boundaries in the one earth. It's a one earth. There is no India, China, Pakistan, America or Europe. Whosoever is producing greenhouse gases, these greenhouse gases are affecting to every countries. So in the Kyoto Protocol, they made it that carbon trading possible. If India, I can reduce some carbon dioxide emission by implementing certain measures, the European countries who have got the mandatory requirement to reduce their carbon, and if they are not reducing it, they can compensate by purchasing my carbon reduction. That is the certified emission reduction, CER. Again, it is known as CER, certified emission reduction. There are agencies where the chartered accounts are most involved, that yes, those emissions are calculated and that pricing is fixed very much in the correct way. Now, after this certified emission reduction, in the Kyoto Protocol, there was the pressure from countries to sign that protocol on USA, India, and China. And in the Paris Agreement, India agreed to reduce our carbon dioxide level to the reasonable level. This was earlier, it was a Kyoto Protocol, which has been replaced by now the Paris Agreement. Now, the main thing is the carbon footprint. Now, last 6 months in the EIA report, government has made it also mandatory part of the carbon footprint due to your project. Earlier, it was not part of the environment impact assessment reports. Now the EIA consultants are supposed to calculate carbon footprint, and this should be included in the EIA report. Not only calculate the carbon footprint, but how you will take the rectified steps to reduce it for the sustainable development. The carbon footprint is the total greenhouse gas emissions caused by an individual, event, organization, service, place, or product expressed by carbon dioxide equivalent. Now, Dr. Rajkumar rightly said that if you reduce the carbon dioxide emission here, to get the finance for that capital cost investment for the project, also from European countries. And we were lucky to work with the Switzerland government, SECO, who extended the finance at nominal rate of interest for implementing the green projects. Not only the finance, they are also providing the technical support. They are also giving the technology at a very, very reasonable cost. That is what is the Paris Agreement. Greenhouse gases is not only carbon dioxide, but it also includes methane, nitrogen oxides, hydrofluorocarbons, perfluorocarbons, sulfur hexafluorides. This is the carbon footprint of various countries. Here you will see that maximum is China, followed by United States and India. Now here comes our argument. Here comes the argument of the government of India that okay, we are the one of the largest emitter of carbon dioxide, but look at per capita carbon dioxide emission. See the per capita carbon dioxide emission of various countries. Then Middle East is the highest with 19.5 ton per capita per year, followed by Canada, Saudi Arabia, United States, Russia. We are nowhere. Global average is 4.4 ton per year, while for India emission in 2019 was 1.69 ton carbon dioxide per capita. Our India's argument is we have to develop it further. We will take the measures to reduce the carbon dioxide emission, but don't compare as a total carbon dioxide emission. Try to calculate on the per capita basis. See, this is the graphical representation. Top line in blue is the USA, how year-wise they have reduced that carbon dioxide per capita. European Union in the yellow line, they are also in the decreasing trend, they are reducing it. China, it has increased now compared to 2000, it has again reached to the much higher level. World over, it has remained almost stagnant, and India is at the bottom of those countries with very less increase in the carbon dioxide emission.
ચંદ્રશેખર ભાઈ,
Yeah.
આપણે થોડી ક્વેરી લઈ લઈએ.
Oh, certainly, I will love it.
So it will become interactive.
Sure. I was going to say that I'm not getting any response. So whether I am going too fast or I'm.
नहीं હું થોડી queries read out કરું છું.
Sure, please.
There is Dinesh Dixit from Pune.
Yeah.
So his query is, at basic level of waste management by housing societies, we see garbages are collected by local authority,
Yeah.
but it is dumped somewhere in surrounding areas.
Yeah.
Then it is burnt out.
Correct.
How to check this improper way of waste disposables? Or how to check compliance of various acts?
Yeah.
Shall I summarize your you have understood?
Yes. See, there is a Municipal Waste Disposal Act. Now, for the new societies, new flats or coming up the areas, having 20,000, more than 20,000 square meter built up area, it has been made mandatory for them. They should install the organic waste converter in their premises. They are supposed to collect all the organic waste, convert themselves, convert to the fertilizer, and then only they can send it to outside. They are also supposed to install their own sewage treatment plant. Even though if they are within the municipal corporation limits, they have to have their sewage treatment plant. They have to treat the sewage, domestic sewage, up to the required level, and then only they can dispose it off. These two provisions are made it very clearly. And for burning the municipal waste in the open, which is now common trend in many cities and many fire incidents are taking place. I think in the last fortnight only, Chairman Central Pollution Control Board has instructed all the state governments to make the inventory that how such places are taking place, how many fires have taken place, and what are the remedial measures, and what state pollution control boards are doing these things. I think last 15 days back only that circular as directive. It's not a circular, it's a directive to the all state pollution control boards from the chairman of Central Control Board has been issued. So government is aware of this issue of burning of the municipal waste in the open. And there is a provision in this environment clearance regulation for the building projects more than 20,000 square meter. You got my reply, sir?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now there is another query. Subham Nanda of Delhi.
Yeah.
What will be the duty of environmental auditor?
Yeah, see, no, very good question. Because this environment audit scheme is going to be implemented throughout the India. And I think it will soon come into the practice. Draft report is ready. We have reviewed the draft report and we have made our own suggestions that it should be like this. So just now the environment auditors are checking the units 3 times or 4 times in a year, randomly without informing the industries. They take the samples or air, water, or whatever the environmental parameters that industry is emitting. And then they report it to the Gujarat Pollution Control Board, that whether there is a deviation, there is any violation, or it is within the norms. Also, the environment auditors check the production data, check the raw material consumption data, they carry out the material balance, they carry out the water balance, that how much water was taken, various water is used for which purposes, and really how much water is disposed of. Whether as per statute, continuous emission monitoring systems are installed or not, or CCTV cameras are installed or not, those all things are responsibility of the environment auditors to check it. So this scheme now Government of India is bringing on the national level because there is no sufficient manpower. So this environment auditor will act as an extended arm of the respective state pollution control board. Yes, sir. Next query.
Yeah, sir. Next query is from Ghaziabad, CA Ravi Gupta. At the time of dissolution of the company, chemical company, is there any EIA compliance for disposing hazardous chemicals which are threat to environment?
Yes, see, for closing down the company, there is no provision of environment impact risk assessment, these things. But if company is not getting away from their environment responsibility, if they have closed down and afterwards it is found that their groundwater is contaminated due to their activity, the companies will be still liable to pay the penalty. Even though it has been closed down, it has been sold out, or it's been these things, the polluter has to pay, as per the principle of polluter should pay, the company will be liable for pay the damage and all the cost for remedial measures. So that's why we suggest sometimes when people take over one company from other and they carry out only the costing part and physical asset calculations and their balance sheets. We say that try to find out their environmental performance and if there is any environment liability of that company. Because if we do not check that environment liability and there is a company takeover or company closure, afterwards whosoever is taking over that company in case of other takeover, the new company will be liable to pay all the damages. And such instances has come to the notice that companies have not done the due diligence for environmental liability and they were forced into trouble afterwards. So it's not a closed company is getting rid of any environment liability. They are still accountable. Yes, sir.
Yeah, then there is a query from Ravi Gupta ji only, Ghaziabad. If
Yeah.
government declares any project as a strategic project,
Yeah,
there is no need of EIA.
correct.
So does it mean that environment is at risk?
No, see, it's a good query. I think it's a very relevant in these things. Like there are certain defense projects. Like Chardham Yatra road construction is going on and the matter reached to the Supreme Court. Now, normal road construction projects requires environment clearance. EIA is compulsory for them. But this is a strategic project for the defense purpose. We are building those corridor, and such projects are given exemption from the carrying out EIA report and environment clearance. However, in this case, the EIA was carried out. It was only environment clearance was not taken, but formal EIA report and its adverse impacts and everything was studied. So it's true that in this EIA notification 2006, and afterwards they made these amendments. For certain projects, they have given the relaxation of carrying out the EIA report and requirement of environment clearance.
Then there is a query from Sanjay Divakar of Kolkata.
Yeah.
What is net zero and what is carbon neutrality?
Oh, I am happy that such very good questions are coming up.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
There's a second part which I will deal with. What is GRI
Yeah.
and what is SASB reporting? It may be.
This is interlink.
Yes.
Yeah. See,
So
now
you can answer both parts.
Yeah. See, once we have calculated now carbon footprint, I said that you can during carbon footprint you include all these things. I think I have covered in my some slide. Oh, see, this is the carbon footprint slide only. Next slide is the carbon footprint, where GSG emission we are calculating. What is the fuel consumption? What is electricity use? What is transport requirement? Process related emissions. All you put together, that is your greenhouse gas emission factor. Now, this is bound to be generated from my industry. That is this much carbon dioxide I am emitting from the carbon distance. Now I am implementing some measures that offset my carbon dioxide. What are these measures? Like some tree plantation I have done. So this tree plantation, I will get some credit of carbon dioxide. I will use the solar light. Due to solar light emission, there is a emission factor from each grid separately defined. Western grid, northern grid, south grid. For the western grid, I remember it's a 0.8 kg carbon dioxide per unit of the electricity generation. Now that much electricity, if you have produced from the solar panel, it means your carbon dioxide emission reduced, compensated. Similarly, I am recycling certain things where originally carbon dioxide generation was required. Now it is not required. So I have reduced my carbon dioxide emission. Transportation, if individuals are coming by their own cars and scooters, now if common facilities provided, then the total carbon dioxide emission is reduced. So we go on reducing the carbon dioxide emission and come to the stage where your generation and reduction is almost equal, then you become carbon neutral. So that is what the sustainability report is asking, that propose some sustainable development measures you will either implement within your premises or at some other place, but at least implement some measures that carbon dioxide emission reduction could be achieved. So that is the carbon neutral industries. And yes, there are certain industries, they have become carbon neutral. Please, sir.
Yeah. There is a query from...
This is the carbon emission factor from various fuels. Like natural gas, if you are using 1 ton of natural gas, you are emitting 2.93 tons of carbon dioxide. You can use this as a reference material for calculating your carbon footprint.
Yeah, Ravi Gupta ji is a officer in ICAI. He has done a lot of studies. So his queries are there. One of his queries, draft EIA notification 2020.
Yes.
There is a post facto approval. Environment clearance will be granted even after construction has started.
Yeah.
So, what is the status of EIA notification 2020?
See, I mentioned in my speech also that 2020 they have brought the draft notification, and post facto provision was even there in 1997 also. That in 1994 those industries who have not taken the environment clearances, and afterwards if they have taken, like I told you, those case of 5 industries of reaching to the Supreme Court. So to help support those industries, even special notification post facto clearance was brought at that time also. But it was contested in the court and said, no, nothing doing. You cannot post facto grant the environment clearance. Now in 2020, again, they have made this provision. But a lot of pressure from the NGOs is there that why are you giving so much relaxation to the environment clearance process? Because in this 2020 notification, I think more than 70% projects are going out from the purview of environment clearance. All small scale, medium scale industries and several projects, housing projects, township area development projects will not be in the purview of EIA notification. So when I think implemented, it's difficult to say, but they are making still some changes. Because one side there is a pressure of easy of doing business, and other side there is a pressure of NGOs to save the environment. So we have to balance it. And I think that balancing act, government of India is trying to do it. Some informal meetings are going on, and one or two meetings, I was also a part of those meetings and trying to find out the way out. But I think post facto provision, they will not accept it.
Then there is one query from Mr. C.B. Gagrani of Mumbai.
Yeah.
This is a suggestion for Institute of Chartered Accountants to do a study that this tribal, whether I'll read out, whether institute will take initiative to conduct a study how environment protection through plantation could become a complementary source of regular income by forestry to produce to rural and local native tribal population.
I think there is a fund available for reforestation. Not only from India, even from some global sources also, the fund is available for reforestation activity. And I think it's a good if they can take up the study that affect on the tribal areas for this.
Then there is a Vikas Jangid from New Zealand. That is a compliment that there are a lot of activities happening professionally worldwide. So thank you, Vikas, for complimenting. We can cover some more part, Chandrasekhar Bhai, and then we will see if there are more queries.
I think I have covered my almost all the topics. I'm just going to this.
Okay, then we will show them some of the websites.
Okay, fine, sir. Last, my slide is saying this in the universe. In the starting, you said this thing. There are billions of galaxies.
Billions of galaxies, and
in our galaxies there are billions of planets, but there is only one Earth. Let's take care of it. Thank you, sir. Yeah.
So maybe my slide just covering few things.
Yeah.
The Public Liability Insurance Act, National Green Tribunal Act. Then when environmental issues are population growth, environmental quality, water pollution, air pollution, solid waste pollution, noise pollution, erosion of sands, greenhouse gas emission, forest, degrading air quality index. And then the environment policy should cover, pollution prevention, waste reduction, energy conservation, compliance with regulation, resource cycling, continuous improvement. Like United States, they have a US National Environment Policy Act 1969, NEPA, they call it.
Yeah.
So which is one, that is the beginning. EIA, Mr. Upasni has covered in great detail. So this also is EIA slide: transparency, certainty, participation, practicability, flexibility, cost effectiveness, credibility. And then EIA can be strategic EIA, regional EIA, sectoral EIA, life cycle assessment, project level EIA. So I'm just skipping EIA because we have covered this. Then there are policies. Here also CH can play a lot of role. How these policies to be implemented, monitored, National Water Policy 2012, National Environment Policy 2006, Bhopal gas tragedy, we have a participant, 2nd, 3rd December 84. So we know that a small mishap can cause a disaster. Environmental Protection Act 1986, received the assent on 23rd May 86, and all these are very small law. And there are rules under this act, like e-waste management rules, construction and demolition waste management rules. So like questions were coming, what role a CA can play? CA can be a consultant on these areas. See, one has to learn, one has to master. Like I had requested CA Ravi Gupta, who is an officer in the institute, to study on this. And myself, when I studied on this, so a lot of things we know when we do a Googling, when we take up ministry website. So there, for the, like, we keep on reading about air quality of different cities. Delhi air quality, Mumbai air quality. So all that becomes relevant. Similarly, water pollution. And, we have SDG, Sustainable Development Goals of United Nations. And by 2030, every country is supposed to achieve these goals. We had 2015 goals, and after 2015, we have United Nations have made 2030 goals to be achieved by 2030. There are 17. Now, the goal number 6 is secure water and sanitation for all, for a sustainable world. Like our Prime Minister, he made Swachhta Abhiyan and the toilet in each village. Then goal 7 is ensure access to affordable, sustainable and reliable modern energy services. So instead of using traditional resources by coal, thermal, we have a solar, we have a wind energy. So those becomes more relevant. Then goal 12 is promote sustainable consumption and production patterns. United Nations SDG 13 is promote actions at all levels to address climate change. Then attain conservation and sustainable use of marine resources, oceans and seas. Protect and restore terrestrial ecosystems and halt all biodiversity loss. So we see that out of 17 goals, 6 are pertaining to environment. And similarly, in our 7th schedule, we find a place for that. There are organization institutions like Forest Survey of India, there is a Botanical Survey of India, Zoological Survey of India, there is a Directorate of Forest Education, there is a Indira Gandhi National Forest Academy. Now, somebody was asking, there was a query, IGNU has a certificate course in environmental studies, and there is the Institute of Good Manufacturing Practices, which is various courses on health, safety, environment, waste management. There is a Columbia Climate School, and there may be many more. Then, I would like to take up some of these websites to see what are their contents. This is one slide which I want to show in every presentation, that subconscious mind is very powerful. What we want to become, we should work on our subconscious mind. Currently, we are talking at a conscious level. Use of social media, becoming a thought leader. Like if I want to practice in environment subject, I should post every day a flyer in all platforms. Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. I should have a blog. I should make YouTube video. I should have a podcast. then only people will know that I am environment expert. And by doing this, our knowledge also will increase. So I strongly recommend, we have 3 clauses in the first schedule to the CA Act. Clause 5, securing the work. Clause 6, soliciting the work. And clause 7, advertising the work. But when we do a knowledge sharing, none of these clauses are attracted. And I try to impress upon this in every occasion where I get a chance to speak. There are 13 steps to become rich. This is by Napoleon Hill, a book on 1930. Very, very first, there are 15 chapters. First is thought. Everything like Dr. Upasni is there today with us because CA Hina Gupta thought that we will have a program on World Earth Day, World Environment Day. So we contacted few faculties and Dr. Upasni gave us the time, and so thought will be the starting point for any activity in this world. Then the desire, burning desire, faith, auto-suggestion, specialized knowledge, imagination, organized planning, decision, persistence, power of the mastermind, enthusiasm, subconscious mind, brain, and sixth sense. Then we can use mind mapping to learn fast, memorize, and maybe we can look at a few websites. One of them is UNFCCC, which is the website of United Nations Climate Change. Earlier the name was, so there is a Kyoto Protocol, and you can write to them. There is a newsletter, there is a Paris Agreement. So knowledge is not a dearth. Then there is a National Green Tribunal. So in this tribunal, a chartered accountant can appear. There are 30 tribunals where we can be. So in the National Green Tribunal, we have a online hearing, and there are regional benches. So it is established on 18th October 2010 under the National Green Tribunal Act. And then we have a Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. So a lot of information is there on this website, Environment Protection Amendment Rules 2022, about the ministry, the various act and rules. So and then we have Parivesh, parivesh.nic.in. So this is proactive and responsive facilitation by interactive and various virtuous environmental single window hub. This is the Parivesh full form. And then we also have environment impact assessment application. So like this, we can have a lot of information. I'll just see the queries which are there, the new queries. Sanjay Divakar is saying that Big Four consultants help organization build ESG-led growth strategy. You can invite, yes, thank you, Sanjay, we will do that. And see, I tell members ki ICAI is not a living person. ICAI is an organization, like who works in the ministry, what is government of India? It is President of India, Prime Minister of India, the ministers, then secretaries of the ministries. Similarly, Institute of Chartered Accountant, the council members have to work, regional council members have to work, branch managing committee members, and each one of us. My request to the participants are, Ramkaran, give the statistics, how many are there still on seeing this webinar, because it is 12:53. Tejal Asmukh Sagar has requested to send the presentation. We will do that. Then Manoj Sharma, Pune, he is saying place of civil development in cities which impacts pace of the environment, which measures can be taken to make mandatory for the developers before granting them permission for the development. There is a question which Dr. Upasni, you can answer. You know, this has come again and again. Which industry the environment audit is mandatory? And then what is the frequency of environment audit? Chandrasekhar bhai, if you know, you answer, otherwise we can.
This environment audit scheme, environment audit scheme just now is mandatory in the Gujarat only due to the High Court order. And environment industries which are covered in these things is based on what they are making, some very hazardous chemicals if they are making, like pigment industries, HSC, vinyl sulfones. They have a high potential of generating the pollution and hazardous waste. They are covered under the environment audit scheme. Industries who are consuming more than 50 KL water per day, they are also undergoing the environment audit scheme. There are several parameters they have defined that which industries will go for environment audit. Environment audit for the industries is conducted once in a year, just like your financial year, April to March. Environment audit report is submitted, last date of is June, 30th June is the last date for submitting the environment audit report. During that whole year, the auditor is supposed to take minimum 3 visits of the industries, collect all the samples of the parameters which are given in their consent. Common infrastructure projects have to undergo 2 types of audit. In 6 monthly report, they have to submit the environment audit report. That is common effluent treatment plants, common solid waste sites, common incinerator. They have to undergo the 2 times in a year environment audit reports. So these are the provisions in the environment audit scheme. It is there on JPCB website.
Ramkaran ji, please, acha, the 1500 members, Chandrasekhar ji.
Oh my God.
So you can see the interest of chartered accountants in environment.
No, that's why I said that I am honored by your invitation.
Thank you. What I request all these members is, please take interest in the known traditional areas. No, I always say that traditional areas are 4: accounting, auditing, direct taxes, and indirect taxes. So if members take interest in the known traditional areas, it will immensely help them. And then we get a satisfaction also that we are contributing by value addition, the impression of increase. Clients should always get, see, we go to which restaurant, there may be restaurant charging 100 rupees, They may be charging 1,000 rupees, but we may prefer to go to those who charge 1,000 because the value of money paid is more than what we are paying. Similar way, our clients should get more value than what they are paying to us. So we close the webinar here, and we look forward that participants will form some national environment study circle, and learning is a continuous process, and we will do that. There is a query from Sanjay Divakar. He's asking good, very interesting query. There's a topic on emerging on green taxes and companies adopting tax ESG strategies. You know, in many countries, European countries, and there is a green tax. You know, if they consume the traditional energy more compared to a renewable energy, then there is a query from Santosh Tripathi from Lucknow. Which body in India is responsible for planning? See, Niti Aayog is one who is responsible for planning. Then, of course, like Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, they are responsible for climate change mitigation, the environment clearance. Then Ministry of Renewable Energy is responsible to encourage all users to use new and renewable energy, because there is a website of these are all very interesting to study. This MNRE, there is a Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, which gives a lot of grant assistance, and our leaders' photos are always there. So this website will give you an idea what grants are available if we use new and renewable energies. So thank you so much for spending time with us, and thank you. It is 1,544 members viewing this webinar. Thank you, Dr. Chandrasekhar ji, for spending time with us on Sunday morning. Thank you. We close the webinar.
Thank you, sir. Okay.
Thank you, Ramkaran, for all the assistance. Thank you, Ravi Gupta. Thank you, Madam Hina Gupta. Haji.